A man once told me he was cursed with money. Everything he touched slipped through his fingers, and he half believed some bad luck had been following him his whole life. I asked him one simple question. I asked him what his father used to say about rich people. He laughed. Then he stopped laughing, because the words came out instantly, word for word, in his father's voice. Rich people are crooks. Money changes you. We don't have that kind of luck. He had not thought about those sentences in 40 years. But his subconscious had never forgotten one of them, and it had been faithfully arranging his life to keep him safely, obediently, exactly as poor as the man who raised him. He was not cursed. He was loyal. Loyal to beliefs he never once chose. And what I told him next is what I want to tell you now, because the thing turning money away from your door is almost certainly not yours either. Money is not avoiding you because of anything you are doing wrong today. It is avoiding you because of what you believe about it underneath, and those beliefs were poured into you long before you could think for yourself. Joseph Murphy taught this plainly, and it is the key to everything tonight. Your subconscious mind does not act on what you want. It acts on what you deeply believe. You can want wealth with every waking thought and still repel it. If underneath that wanting sits an older conviction that money is dangerous, or scarce, or not for people like you, the want is on the surface, the belief is in the depths, and the depths always win. So stay with me, even if you have tried affirmations and thrown them away, because affirmations spoken over a buried belief are just noise on top of the truth. Stay with me even if you are sure you have no money wounds from childhood, because the deepest beliefs are exactly the ones that feel like plain common sense to you now. And stay with me even if you have heard the name Joseph Murphy 100 times, because this one thing, the childhood root of belief, is the piece almost everyone skips. Let me show you how it happened, because once you see the mechanism, you cannot unsee it. When you were a small child, your mind had no filter yet. The critical, questioning part of you that weighs things and pushes back had not yet formed. Everything the adults around you said and felt about money went straight down, unquestioned, into the deep mind, and set like concrete. If money was tight in your house, you did not just hear the words. You felt the fear in the air when the envelopes came. You watched a parent's shoulders tighten, heard the arguments through the wall. And your young mind, trying to make sense of the world, wrote its conclusions down as law. Money is frightening. Money causes fighting. There is never enough. Wanting more is selfish. You did not decide these things. You inherited them, the way you inherited a surname, and carried them into every year of your adult life as though they were the truth about money, rather than one frightened household story about it. And here is the cruel part, the part that keeps good, hard-working people stuck for decades. Your subconscious does not want you poor. It wants to protect you, and it does that by keeping you loyal to what it learned was safe. If, as a child, you learned that rich people are greedy and money changes you, then some deep part of you now works quietly to keep you from becoming the very thing you were taught to distrust. It sabotages the raise, talks you out of the opportunity, loses the money almost as fast as it comes. Because on some buried level, becoming wealthy feels like a betrayal of your family, a step into the camp of the people you were warned about. You are not lazy, and you are not cursed. You are loyal to a picture of money that was never yours, and loyalty that deep does not answer to willpower. It answers to belief, and belief is what we will change. This idea is far older than any self-help book. People knew it 2,000 years ago and longer. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Not as he thinks in his head, but in his heart, the deep place where belief lives. The oldest teachers knew that what a person holds true in that deep place shapes everything that comes to them. This was never a secret locked in a vault. It was simply left behind, in old books that fewer and fewer stores still carry, passed quietly from one person to the next by those who had learned to live by it. So ask the fair question. If this is real and this old, why were you never taught it? The answer is honest, and it is not a conspiracy. No one hid this from you. It just got left behind. You were sent to school for years and taught to read and count and name the capitals of distant countries, and never once taught how the inside of your own mind works, or that the beliefs handed to you in childhood would quietly run your money life for the rest of your days. And modern prosperity teaching made it worse, because it took this quiet truth and buried it under noise. Want it harder, it says. Picture the sports car. Repeat the words louder. All surface, all effort, and none of it touches the belief underneath, which is exactly where the whole thing is decided. There is a plain reason for that too. There is very little money in telling a person that their problem is a free belief they can change alone before sleep, and a great deal in selling them the next course. So the real teaching survived, but quietly, in the corners, the way the most useful things often do. If even one thing here has landed for you, write it in the comments below. Tell me one phrase about money you inherited as a child, one of those sentences that came out in a parent's voice. Someone else may read it and recognize their own household in your words, and that quiet moment of being understood is worth more than you know. Now stay with me, because naming the problem is only half of it, and I am going to show you exactly how to change the belief itself tonight. The first step is to find the beliefs, because you cannot change what you cannot see, and these have hidden from you precisely by disguising themselves as obvious truth. So become a quiet detective of your own reactions. When money comes up, listen for the reflex phrase that rises before you have even thought. The automatic "I can't afford that." The little clench when someone spends freely. The flash of judgment when you see a wealthy person. Or the shame when you want something you cannot buy. Each of those reflexes is a belief showing its face for a moment. And when one appears, ask the question that changes everything. Whose voice is that really? Sit with it. Very often you will hear, under your own thought, the exact tone of a parent, a grandparent, the house you grew up in. That is the moment the spell begins to break. Because a belief you can trace back to a frightened kitchen 40 years ago is no longer the truth about money. It is just an old sentence, and old sentences can be rewritten. Then comes the replacing, and there is a right time and way. There is a moment every night when the door between your two minds stands wide open, the drowsy state just before sleep. The thinking mind grows tired and stops guarding the gate, and whatever you feel in those last soft minutes sinks almost unopposed into the deep mind, where the old beliefs live. This is when a child first absorbed them, half asleep in the feeling of the house, and it is when you can reach them now. So as you lie there and the body grows heavy, do not argue with the old belief, and do not strain. Simply choose one new, believable premise about money, and dwell in the feeling of it being already true. Not a fortune, something quiet and reasonable. Money flows to me easily, and I use it well. I am at ease with money now. Feel what that would feel like if it were simply so, and let it carry you down into sleep. Do this night after night, and understand what is happening. You are doing consciously, and in your own favor, the exact thing that was once done to you by accident. You are impressing a new belief on the deep mind in the very state where beliefs are made. Through the day, hold it lightly. When the old inherited voice speaks, and it will, do not fight it, because fighting it feeds it. Notice it, name it. That is my father's fear talking, not mine. And return to the new premise. You are not trying to win an argument with your past. You are simply, patiently, giving the deep mind a new sentence to live by, more often than it hears the old one. And do not dig for results. Do not check your bank account every hour to see if the belief has changed things yet, because checking is the feeling of not yet, the old lack, planted again and again. Plant the new belief, and let the ground do its quiet work. There is one more thing you must know, because it is the exact place people give up. When you first try to plant a new belief about money, the old one will fight back, and it will fight dirty, because it has protected you since childhood and does not want to be retired. It will say, "Who do you think you are? This isn't you. Remember where you come from." Do not argue with that voice and do not try to silence it, because a voice you fight only grows louder. Let it speak, and return to your new premise anyway. That voice is not the truth. It is only an old belief defending the only home it has ever known, which is you. Every time you return to the new sentence without forcing it, you loosen the old one's grip, and one day you will notice it has simply gone quiet. not because you defeated it, but because you stopped obeying it. That is the day the money story your parents handed you becomes a story you are free to put down. And let me name the belief almost everyone misses, because it is the sneakiest of them all, and does not sound like a limiting belief at all. It sounds like being a good person. It is the quiet conviction that it is more virtuous to have little, that wanting money is greedy, that the good ones go without. Perhaps you were praised as a child for not asking for things, for being no trouble, for learning that the way to earn love in your house was to want less. If so, your deep mind tied together two things that were never the same: being good and being without. And now, every time real money comes near, part of you pulls away from it to stay good, to stay the one who was loved for needing little. This is why so many kind, generous people stay broke. It is not that they cannot make money. It is that some buried part of them believes they must choose between money and being good, and they choose again and again without ever knowing it. Hear me clearly. Money is not the opposite of goodness. A frightened household may have taught you it was, but it is not true, and until you pull those two apart in the deep mind, the belief will keep turning wealth away in the name of your own virtue. Let me tell you what happened to the man I began with, the one who was cursed with money. Once he heard his father's voice in his own reflexes, he could not unhear it, and that was the beginning. Each night he stopped rehearsing his fears and lay instead in the quiet feeling of a new sentence, that money was safe in his hands, and that having it did not make him one of the people his father had warned about. For weeks nothing outward moved, and he nearly quit, the way people almost always nearly quit right before it turns. But something in him was changing before his circumstances were. He stopped flinching at the word money. He stopped sabotaging his own good chances out of an old loyalty he had never named. He began to hold on to what came instead of letting it slip through his fingers, because the deep belief that he was meant to be poor had finally loosened its grip. And within months, the outer world answered the way it answers everyone who changes the belief underneath, not with a miracle from the sky, but through ordinary doors. Chances he would once have talked himself out of, he took. Money he would once have lost, he kept. Every link was perfectly explainable in hindsight. What could not be explained was why the chain formed in exactly the season he stopped being loyal to his father's fear. He called it luck. I called it belief, doing what belief has always done. So let me leave you with the heart of it. Money was never avoiding you because of who you are. It was answering, faithfully, a belief you were handed before you could refuse it. There is nothing wrong with you, and there never was. You were loyal to a frightened household story about money, and you can honor the people who raised you without keeping their fear. If you are the kind of person who has always sensed that the real cause of your struggle was hidden deeper than your effort, then you already understand what happened here. These beliefs were never yours. They can be handed back. Before you go, do something for me in the comments. Tell me which city you are watching from today, and whether something here quietly clicked, whether you finally heard whose voice has been running your money life. And read a few of the other comments while you are there, because you will find people in them who grew up in a house just like yours, and it helps more than you would think. If this gave you something real, not just passed the time, but actually gave you something, then feel free to like it and subscribe, and only for that reason. Not because I need the number, but because if these words meant something to you, this is simply how you find your way back to the next ones. And there is a next one waiting on the screen right now. What I will show you there goes deeper than what we did tonight, into the part that ties it together, the piece most people never reach. Knowledge like this has a way of not staying in easy reach forever, so while it is here in front of you, go on and let it show you the rest.